Hi, everybody, and welcome to ParaTalk One-on-One. And today, my guest is Chris Ducky Davila. He is one of the team members from the West Houston Paranormal Society, and he is also a managing member of Bad Wolf Events, as well as has his own podcast called What the Suck. Did I get all that right?
Perfect.
Okay, so there may be some language in today's episode only because this is really fucked up.
Good way to start it off. All right.
It's the truth. It is the truth. So I looked up on WebMD, the go-to for all of life's ailments. And according to WebMD, it says that researchers conclude in most cases, sleep paralysis is simply a sign that your body is not moving smoothly through the stages of sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, it also says that over the centuries, sleep paralysis have been described in many ways and often attributed to an evil presence, unseen demons, old hag, alien abduction.
Mm-hmm.
I never in my life had experienced this until April of this year.
Okay.
And it happened twice in 1 week. And that was seriously the most horrific experience I believe I've had, and I've had a lot.
Okay.
So, Ducky, I know that you actually had an experience during one of our investigations when we went to the Palace Theater in Seguin back in 2013. And I kind of wanted you to talk about your experience, and then later I'll kind of let you know what happened in mine.
Okay. I guess I will preface this by saying that I've actually had sleep paralysis a lot. Probably starting from say probably when I was 18, maybe 18 to 20 year old range. I would have experiences where I would, when I thought was waking up, and I would see whatever location I was in, I would be in that location, but I'd be laying down, usually on my back, and I wasn't able to move. And so like my whole body was frozen, but my eyes could kind of look around and I could see where I was. A lot of times there's a sort of a haze that is around the edge of my vision. So it's sort of a hazy, almost dreamlike look. But I always know where I am, and it's always the exact place I actually am. So like if it is a dream, then I'm dreaming. I'm literally dreaming of where I was. Like every single detail of that room is perfect, exactly how it actually is. And so I just wouldn't be able to move until something happened, either a noise or something, and I was awakened from the spell, if you want to call it that. It got to the point where it would happen so often that I would, when I would have the experience, I would try to do sort of a test. I would try to force myself to move a body part, and because I knew once I moved a body part, that would force myself to wake up. So like one time I was sleeping on my couch on my back, and I had my hand on my chest, and it was like 12 in the afternoon, daylight, and I woke up into sleep paralysis. I could see my kitchen and everything, and I looked down, I could see my hand on my chest, and so I knew if I moved it, I would wake up. It was partly from a scientific aspect, but also partly because I was just so annoyed at that point and having these all the damn time that I just wanted to be able to figure out a way to quickly get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sat there for, well, it's probably 30 seconds, felt like 30 minutes, just staring at my hand, just telling my hand to move, and I could, in my mind, I could feel myself trying to push my hand up, but it didn't happen. And then I went back to sleep, and then I woke up, and I was still in the same position that I was when I had the sleep paralysis. So saying that, I've had, let's say, easily 50 to 60 instances of sleep paralysis since I was 18.
Holy crap.
Um, the thing is, like, as you mentioned, they're attributed to, or they are related to the old hag syndrome or alien abduction, because there's a lot of instances of sleep paralysis in those occasions, and I've never had anything like that. Like, all of my sleep paralysis episodes just involved me by myself in whatever room I was in sleeping. I've never seen anything in the corner. I never had anything on my chest. I never saw any witch. Never saw any shadow man. There's a documentary. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it's called The Nightmare. It talks about, like, I think it's like 5 individuals who document their sleep paralysis and the shadow people they've seen um, with the sleep paralysis. Many of them have seen the Hat Man, the Red Eye Man. Some have seen static aliens, that sort of thing. I've never had anything like that at all. Like, it's always just been me sleeping alone by myself. Nothing. Not once in those 50 or 60 had I felt any sense of fear or any sense of something in the room with me. So
Mhm.
that's why I said it was more out of a feeling of annoyance, because it would just happen, and then that would be the end of it. So all that plays into the fact that in I think it was 2013, we
Right.
went to the Seguin, the theater in Seguin, to do an investigation. And at that time, we'd been together about a year and a half as a group. Um, I had been investigating myself since 2004, so going on 9 years at that point, and I've stayed in a ton of places. Some places that were said to be very, very haunted. The Merle's Plantation, and a ton of old hospitals in Texas. Um, Hill House, Haunted Hill House, and slept in many of those places. No problem whatsoever. Like, I legitimately slept. As a matter of fact, some were probably some of the best night sleeps of my life. I mean, Old South Pittsburgh, I think I slept for like 12 hours straight.
Yeah.
I was dead. It was a comfortable bed. It was a bunk bed. I was on top. It was comfortable. Um, so I have no problem sleeping in these places, and they don't bother me. So we're in the theater, and myself and another investigator, Rhodey. It's around 4 between. I think it's the last block of the night, the 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. block.
Mhm.
And this is an old play theater, so there's a stage where they have the plays, and her and I are in the back left of the theater. If you look at the stage, we're in the back left, and we are sitting about 3 rows from the very last row, and about 5 seats apart. She's sitting at the end of the aisle. I'm sitting about middle, and we're just staring at the stage. We have the big laser grid light up, and it covers pretty much the entire theater.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and just watching the stage, looking at the lights, checking for any type of movement for the lights. And so we're sitting there, and I have my arms crossed. I'm kind of leaning, because theater seats they kind of lean back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm leaning, and I feel myself start to doze off, and I guess I try to catch myself from falling asleep. But when I open my eyes, I can instantly tell I'm not fully awake, because I have that haze around my vision again, like I've had before in other sleep paralysis. And even though, according to my memory, I turn to my right to look at Rhodey to try to get her attention, I know my head's not moving at all. But again, in the instance that I'm having it, everything I see matches exactly what I saw in the theater. So I still, I'm still in the theater, and I realize I'm having this episode, and I need to wake up. So I'm looking over at Rhodey to my right, and I'm trying to call out to her name. Again, noise or movement, I know, will help to wake you up out of a sleep.
Right.
And so as I'm looking at her, I decide it's not going to work. So I turn back front, and in the row with me, standing in between my legs, so my legs are kind of sprawled a bit. In between my legs, standing right in front of me, I turn, and I can no longer see the row in front of me. It's just dark.
Oh.
and it's just pitch black. And I look up, and as I look up, it's probably like 6 feet tall. I see the shadow, and I can clearly see where the head is and the shoulders are, and then straight down, just pure blackness.
Uh,
And the instant I look up and I see the head and where the shoulders are at, I get this feeling inside me that it knows that I see it. And
right.
so instantly it leans forward real quick in a fast movement, leans forward and pretty much gets nose to nose with me, like staring like right at me. I can't see any features. There's no features. It's just pure black. But it just nose to nose. And all of a sudden it disappears, but then my arms, which are still crossed, have like this static electricity going through them, but like 10 times more, 10 times stronger than like if your body part falls asleep.
Right.
And it's just itches in my arms, and it's just this tingling static, and I get the sensation that this thing has entered me. And so in my mind, I'm trying to get it out. So at the same time, I realize I need to wake up. So I'm trying to yell for Rhodey again. I look at her. She's still facing the stage, looking at the stage. And all of a sudden, there's a noise from behind us in the lobby, like a loud thump.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as that happens, I wake up and it's gone. And that was it. That was the end of the paralysis. And I don't know if we ever caught anything evidence-wise that night for our investigation.
Uh-huh.
But that kind of struck me a bit because, like I said, up to that point, it's been 9 years. I've been to a bunch of places, never had any type of experience like that. And that was 2013, and up from that point till now, I've had sleep paralysis before, both in not in a haunt, but I've had it before, never in another haunted place.
Right.
After 2013, the places we've been to that I've fallen asleep, stayed asleep, no
Right.
issue at all, no sleep paralysis. I've had sleep paralysis on my own in my house, but no other feeling of something in the room, no shadows for sure. But yeah, that was of the 50 or 60, that was the only instance that I've ever had something in the sleep paralysis realm with me when I had it.
Right. I remember you coming out of the theater at that point because we were outside because we were taking a break, the rest of the team. And I remember you coming out and you looked shaken.
Mm-hmm.
You looked like you had just gone through something like really terrifying, and you couldn't shake it. And I remember you kind of explaining it, but at the same time, I think you were trying to figure out what the hell just happened.
Yeah, I wasn't so terrified by it. It didn't scare me. And that's the thing. I didn't feel any anger or any fear or any mad or any feelings from this thing. It was just there. And afterward, I do remember I went outside and I paced for a good 5 minutes because I was trying to logically deduce this thing. I was trying to what do you call it? Debunk it.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to logically debunk it because it was something I hadn't experienced before. And I was like, I mean, you know me, when I get tired, I mean, we've been on investigations where I get tired. I don't get weird. I get stupid. Like I do the Charleston dance, or
Right.
we crack jokes until we're crying, from laughing.
Right.
When I get delirious, I get stupid. And so at 4 a.m, I wasn't really tired because this place was an old theater and we were all excited to be investigating it. And we were sore. I guess it was kind of coming down off of the adrenaline high, but not so much because I wasn't really tired. So
Right.
I couldn't chalk it up to delusion. I couldn't chalk it up to exhaustion. I couldn't chalk it up to coming down off an adrenaline high. Because by this point, it'd been 9 years. I'd been to all kinds of places, and
Right.
I get that adrenaline for the first 3 hours, and then from there I just slowly kind of come down.
Yeah.
And so for that 5 minutes, I was just pacing, trying to debunk it, trying to deduce what exactly had gone on. And like I said, it didn't frighten me. It still doesn't frighten me. If anything, it's just I think the reason it's affected me so much is because I'm very proud of the fact that I feel like I can logically debunk things
Mm-hmm.
And when I can't debunk something, whether it's something, photo or video or audio somebody has shared or that has brought to us, and we can't figure it out, then I'm super happy about that, because it means it's probably genuinely paranormal. But
Right.
the fact that only been a couple other things that have had happen in my life since I've been investigating that have been in that same vein, where no matter how much I thought about it and tried to debunk it away, I could not logically debunk it. But that was the
Right.
first. That was the first time, and so I think that's why it affected me so much, because no matter how much I tried, I couldn't. I mean, if I had had at least one episode before that night where I'd had something else in the room, a presence in the room with me during a
Right.
sleep paralysis, or even any time after that, the 6 years after that, where I've had a sleep paralysis, where there was something in the room with me, then I could probably debunk it as some sort of chemical imbalance. But I've never had that since. Didn't happen before. I haven't had it since.
Right.
It's one time anomaly that has totally racked my brain. So yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
affected.
And that's what screwed me up in April when I had gone through this for the first time. It freaked me out. I mean, seriously, I'm almost 49 years old. I've never dealt with this before.
Hmm.
And basically mine was just I went to sleep like I always did. I go to bed early. I get plenty of sleep. So I was like in bed. I know I felt like a presence in the room. I I got the cold feeling. I looked down at my leg and I could feel a hand going up my leg, like grabbing my leg.
Uh-huh.
And I freaked out and I go to scream and I can't. And
Right.
I can see myself. I'm looking at myself and my mouth, it felt like it was sewed or glued shut.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm literally doing this. I'm like, like some kind of horror movie. And I'm
Right. Yeah.
watching myself and I turn and I can see Wayne sleeping, and I'm like, nothing's coming out. And finally, I like belted out, like a scream. At least I thought I did.
Uh-huh.
That's what woke me up. And I'm looking over at Wayne, and he is sound asleep.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I asked him, "Did I scream in the middle of the night?" And he's like, "No, I didn't hear anything."
Yeah.
That was the weirdest, cruelest. I'm like, what did I do for that
Yeah.
to happen? Because
Yeah.
it's weird. When I did post this on my personal Facebook page, I did get some comments from people saying that they go through it all the time, or some people said, well, you need to protect yourself. Maybe it was from your last investigation that you brought something home. But that's the crazy part. I hadn't investigated. And the last thing that we did was the event that was like a whole month before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was no reason for that to happen when it did. Luckily, since then, nothing. And I do sleep on my back more often than not. So for that, like I said, to be the first time for it to happen just out of nowhere and
Right.
twice in 1 week. It happened twice in 1 week. Very similar, but that one scared me, more than the other one.
Okay.
And I just don't get this. I'm seriously like, it freaks me out. And it freaks me out when people tell me, oh, yeah, it happens to me all the time. It's like,
Mhm.
what the hell? Why?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
How can you just be so casual about that?
and like I said, when it first started happening to me, I wasn't casual, of course, obviously, because I was freaked the hell out, because you know, I have been interested in the paranormal since I was like 4, since I could first read, and
Right.
so sleep paralysis, alien abduction, demons coming at you while you sleep. That's all stuff you read about, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It's in the books, it's in the literature, and
Let me
so
ask, you something before I forget.
sure, sure.
You said you didn't see the face of whatever this was. But
Mm-hmm.
in your imagination, like, what do you think it was?
I think it was a shadow man. I think it was a shadow person that lived, that I won't say lived, but a shadow person that resided in the theater.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, thinking back to it, I mean, I've thought about it constantly since it happened. You know, a lot of times when you have a memory of an event that affects you in a certain way, after a while, when you constantly rethink about it, you tend to add details that didn't happen initially. You
Right.
know, whether it's helping your mind um, come to terms with the event, or uh, people just every time you tell a story, sometimes for the most part, people tend to slightly embellish it a bit more every time. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
caught a 5 foot fish the first time it happened, but by the time I told my 50th friend, I caught a 35-foot fish. You know,
Right.
uh,
Right.
but thinking about it since then, and every time I think about it, even now, I can't even like pretend to know if there were features or even what the features look like, because it was
Right.
just pure black. The only thing I know is that I could see where the head was and where the shoulders was, because the head was smaller than the shoulders, and so it was just the silhouette, like a perfect shadow silhouette. No hat, no red eyes, just that. I couldn't see any feet because once it came down to right about where the back of the seat was in the row in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
that since it's dark, that whole section from the back of the seat down to my feet is dark anyway. It's just black. So
Right.
I couldn't see where the hands were. I couldn't see if it had two separate legs. I mean, for all I know, it was like a typical ghost shape, where it just went like it ended like in a tail. You know, I couldn't tell, but I could tell where the
Right.
head and shoulders was. Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, no features. But I mean, like I was saying, it happened when it first started happening. You know, in the first thing in my head was, holy crap, I'm having sleep paralysis. There's going to be an old hag in the corner. There's going to be a shadow person somewhere who's coming to get me, because in my mind, having read all these books and seen all the movies and TV shows, and sort of immerse myself in that pop culture,
Right.
I was like, some it's good. It's bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's not good. It's bad. It's something bad is going to happen. You don't have sleep paralysis unless something bad is going to happen. Um, and then as it went on, nothing happened. And so it just got to the point, like I said, where I just got frustrated because, you know, I sleep well. I've always slept well. Even in the military,
Mm-hmm.
I slept well. I slept extra well in the military. Um, and so I never felt like I was a candidate to have sleep paralysis because I sleep well. Um, that being said, you know, as you read it, it's a condition in which, you know, the body, the brain tends to release chemicals that are supposed to help keep you from acting out your dreams. Um, and so, from what I understand of the theory or the science behind it, is when your body, or your I think your brain, when your brain wakes up before the body has dispelled all those chemicals. So your body still has the chemicals in it, so you're still trapped, but your brain wakes up too fast. And so that's why you can't move. That's why you're awake,
Mm-hmm.
because your body hasn't had a chance to expel or to dilute those chemicals to the point where you can freely move. And from what I understand, people who sleepwalk suffer from the extreme opposite, where they have none of those. And so they act out their dreams because they have none of those chemicals that allow them to stay safe from acting out their dreams. I dated a girl a long time ago who the sleepwalking was so bad, she would go upstairs to the second floor and go out to the balcony in the middle
Oh,
of the night.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when your brain doesn't have enough or cannot produce enough of those chemicals, I forget what they're called, um, you act out your dreams, and that's what sleepwalking is. And that's part of the reason why your brain produces those chemicals, so you don't do that to yourself. But
Okay, so you believe all this is just normal. Going through this is just a normal thing.
am I normal? No. No, no.
Is
I
that
don't think it's
what you
normal.
believe?
No, I believe that, okay, you're gonna make me go into my general overall theory of the paranormal here. I
Yeah, we'll make
believe,
it quick.
okay, I believe 95% of all paranormal is explainable. Includes sleep paralysis. 95% of it is normal. The other 5% is not. So, like the people who are in that documentary, The Nightmare, they've experienced these things their whole life. Every
Yeah.
single time they have it, they have something in the room. That is not normal. That is something else. That is something beyond normal, which is paranormal. So yeah, I do believe that there are instances in which shadow people or spirits can cause you to have it, or even extraterrestrials can cause you to have it, and then enter your area to keep you from trying to protect yourself. But
Okay.
it's very rare. So yeah,
Very rare.
yeah.
Okay. So somebody just wished some horrible shit on me. They said, I want her to have some bad dreams tonight. And that's all that happened. I just had a bad dream. It had absolutely nothing to do with the paranormal.
It depends. I mean, like with every, because right now you're stating the theory. With every theory, you have to test and retest it. So the only way to do that is to try to get yourself induced into sleep paralysis constantly and see how many times you have something in the
Oh,
room with you.
hell no. No,
Well, then,
no. Like I said, I I do not ever want to experience that again. That was horrible. That
but
really
see, it's
was.
different. It's different with you because you. Oh, sorry, I moved my camera. You have said a ton of times that you have things that pass through your location, your house. You have what do you call them? Not travelers. You call them something else. That people entities that just pass on through from one area to the next, but they pass through your location.
Mhm.
Or sometimes you do bring things home from investigations, whatever. So
Yeah.
you and plus you being sensitive, you legitimately have more of a chance of having a old hag type encounter, not necessarily where she's trying to kill you or anything, but where when you do have sleep paralysis, you may sense something. Because I also believe that when you fall asleep, the time between when you lay down to go to bed and when you actually fall asleep, that in between time is sort of a time that you can actually traverse different dimensions, different realities. And so sleep paralysis, while being a chemical issue, a chemical thing, can also be a time when your third eye is open, and so that's why sometimes people do see entities in the room with them, because we have ghosts and stuff all around us all the time. They're all over the place. They're not, they're
Right.
not they're not all congregating in like 10 spots in the city waiting for people to come get them. They're all over the place,
Right.
but you just don't always see them. And so I think sometimes
Right.
the sleep paralysis is that it's that middle ground where you're so relaxed, and your logic and your rationale and your doubt are all out the window, and you can start to see things. So, and for you, it's more common because you do have things follow you home, and you do have visitors, as you call them, passing by. Where
Mhm.
someone like me, who requires a whole lot more logic and a whole lot more proof and facts, won't have that stuff happen, because even though I'm in that in between state, like I don't allow myself to get relaxed to the point where I can see ghosts everywhere, or I have something follow me home, or I have visitors pass by my area, you know. So I mean, I've had, like I said, 60 or so, and I only had the one. You had two, and you had visitors in both of them, right?
Um, the one that I told you about, I actually remember seeing the hand and
Right.
feeling it. The other one, I didn't see anything with me, but I
Okay.
felt the presence at the edge of my bed.
So it's still there. I mean,
It was
but
there, but
right,
it didn't scare me the way the
right,
other one did.
right.
Because when you see like a white, I'm assuming it was white. It was like
Okay.
some claw mark, like an ugly witch hand is what I want to say. That
Oh, really?
whatever you think that would look like, that's what it was, and it was just horrible.
So
And that's all I saw. I only saw like this from here down.
And they grabbed your leg?
Grabbing out at like my ankle area, just behind.
Okay.
And it was just horrible. Horrible. I didn't like it.
So I'm not trying to like freak you out or anything, but there's a good chance that the thing that grabbed you might have been the thing that was in the one previous. It just that the second time it happened, it either gained enough courage or felt that it was safe enough to actually reach out for you. So if you have this again, it might try to reach out for you more. So just be aware of that. Also, it sounds like you're having
thank you. I will now have nightmares forever.
Just go to sleep with a big knife. You'll be fine. But it sounds like you're having like a legitimate old hag type syndrome. I mean, that sounds like very, very hag-like description in the arm, or maybe even an incubus.
Oh yay! Oh yay!
But you
Now I gotta leave that for another episode because I have had that. I've had experienced that, and I've explained that to the entire team.
Yeah.
So that is a totally different episode. But thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. I mean, there you go. Next episode coming up.
And now you got that in my head, so I'll enjoy trying to go to sleep.
But you do all kinds of protections and prayers and stuff. So I mean,
I've actually, to be honest, since we've kind of taken a break from doing home investigations, and because of all the planning that we were doing for the event, I haven't had any problems.
Okay.
I really haven't. I have been comfortable. I haven't been, talking to visitors. I haven't been feeling as much as I normally would.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have been in a very positive space, and for this to happen, like I said, it totally caught me off guard because nothing bad was happening at the time in my life either. So.
And I mean, it may not be bad. It may not be evil, but because you're not used to seeing that kind of thing happen, it's going to scare you. Anytime you see a hand reach out from the darkness, it's going to scare you until you see who it is that
no, fuck that. That was fucked up. That was an ugly old witch-looking hand. I don't even want to know what's on the other end of that.
It could have been someone's like 85-year-old like Ukrainian grandmother who was lost, who passed on, couldn't find her way to the light, and was trying to come to you for help.
No.
And you just turned her away, and now she's stuck in a wandering
spirit. No, don't even go there. Because, when I have had visitors in the past, whether they be family members or somebody that needed to talk to me to pass a message on to someone else, even in the middle of the night, if it woke me up, it never gave me that frightened, eerie feeling. I never felt that. Yeah. This was different. And so I know whatever this was, it was not good. It was bad. But I'm glad you talked to me about this.
It's funny. It almost sounds like your like a metaphor is becoming literal. Like you just said that we haven't done any home investigations for a while. We've been kind of staying away from from the more paranormal aspect of what we do. And yet here it is. You have your first 2 ever sleep paralysis, and what happens? The paranormal is reaching back out to you to try to pull you back in.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode, but I want to thank you so much, Ducky, for talking about this and your experience.
Thanks for having me.
With everybody, and hopefully I'll get you back on another episode.
Okay, sure.
I'm sure I'll come up with something weird to talk about.
Well, we can always talk about aliens or debunking or how
clowns
or clowns aren't scary, by the way. Clowns are stupid. or how most EVPs and video evidence is fake bullshit, and how to tell the real from the fake. We talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. That'll be interesting. No, yeah, definitely. We'll get together again and have another talk about something.
Okay.
Something good. Okay.
Yeah, something good. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, and
Sure.
I hope everybody out there subscribes to our channel
Yes.
and leave us a comment if you have anything to say. If you've experienced this and want to share your story, let us know.
And please check out What the Suck podcast. We are on Castbox, either through the app or castbox.fm. Just type in What the Suck, you can find us. We're also on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just look for What the Suck podcast. We're also on iTunes, and we are also on Spotify. So go check us out. We are about 10 episodes in, and the movies are only getting worse. So be ready.
Okay. Thank you, Ducky.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.